Sam Darnold. It's a 1-year deal for him. He has a base value of 4.5 million, 3.5 guaranteed. I know we were talking about this before we went live, Rob. What do you think this guaranteed money means?
I think it means that there's a legitimate chance that Sam Darnold is more than just a third string quarterback. Tim Kawakami had an article for The Athletic where basically he's like, the Niners are in overdrive, all in mode, hyper focused on winning a Super Bowl. And what it says to me is Trey Lance starts week one and he's not great or the team loses. I wouldn't be stunned to see Darnold in there week two if Brock is not ready to go, which I think there's a chance that maybe Brock opens the season on the pup list and they kind of clear the runway, give him time to come back. So I think that this Sam Darnold thing, I think there's a reason he went to San Francisco. Now, maybe it's just because he's seen the injury history at quarterback and he thinks he has a chance to play. But I think this is more than just, yeah, Sam's our third string guy. We know the Niners loved him. There was a report they offered the Jets a first round pick for him before he went to the Panthers. Remember that? That was a real thing that happened. Shanahan's clearly been high on him. And I think that their faith in Lance is slim to none. And so they are trying to do everything they can to hedge their bet, essentially. And I think that's what this is.
I disagree. I don't think the guaranteed really means much of anything. And one example I have is Nate Sudfeld. Didn't he get some guarantees from this team and ended up getting cut? So I don't think it means too much. And that's not to say that Sam Darnold is going to get cut. He's absolutely not going to be. But I don't think it's indicative of where the 49ers view him on the totem pole. I still think that Trey Lance is going to get his fair shot. Now, I did say yesterday on Twitter, if Trey Lance has any trouble beating out Sam Darnold, if that even becomes a competition, we're in trouble, right? I mean, that's probably it for Trey Lance in San Francisco, I would have to think, because in bringing in a guy like Sam Darnold, I feel it's someone who is great depth, but it's not exactly someone who's necessarily threatening to Trey Lance or Brock Purdy, on this team. And I think for Sam Darnold, the guarantees to me probably mean more like, this is a weird situation. You might be the third quarterback, so we're just going to throw you a bone, this 3.5 million, just so you take this deal, because we really need someone of quality in the third spot, seeing as how no one can stay healthy on this team. If you're a quarterback. So I think that's what it was. But altogether, I like this signing. Darnold, he showed pretty well last season. He wasn't terrible. He went 4-2 as a starter for the Panthers. And some of that overlapped with Steve Wilkes being the interim head coach. So I'm sure he gave a bit of a maybe endorsement for Darnold to, come over here to San Francisco. He had 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So maybe Kyle Shanahan feels like this is a good reclamation project. You mentioned the fact that, Kyle Shanahan has liked him for some time. Even coming out of the draft, they liked him. So, it's not surprising that he wants to bring him in now and see what he can do with him. Now, I still don't think that is necessarily any threat to Trey Lance as of right now, but we'll just have to wait and see when this offseason gets rolling.
I mean, Sudfeld, you're right. They gave him guaranteed money and then they cut him. But I think that's because Purdy was way better than they expected. Like, if they knew Purdy was going to be that good, one, they probably don't bring back Jimmy Garoppolo. And two, they definitely don't give Nate Sudfeld all that money. They fell ass backwards into Brock Purdy. They had no idea he was going to be capable of that, because if they did, they would have picked him way before the 7th round. So I think that when they signed Sudfeld, they thought this is the guy that's going to be the backup. And then he got so outperformed by Brock Purdy that then they pivoted and said, okay, we don't need Nate anymore. We're good with Brock. I think that this is more than just a third string guy. I'm not a Sam Darnold fan. He turns the ball over. He has a 78.2 career passer rating. That is the lowest among all quarterbacks that have thrown at least 1,000 passes since Darnold came into the league. And you could say he was with the Jets and blah, blah, blah. I don't like that guy. I don't want him anywhere near this team. And I don't like the signing. I just don't.
Do you think the 49ers expectations for Trey Lance are too low?
No, I think they're too high. I think they're wanting him to be perfect. I think if he's not perfect right away, Kyle's moving off of him. Especially like I said, if they're super focused on being all in, like Kyle don't want to start 3-4 this year, you know?
But what I mean is, I mean, you said that, they're bringing in Sam Darnold, and it's, they kind of view him as potentially someone who can push Trey Lance. So clearly, they don't think much of Trey Lance if,
Mm-hmm.
what you say is true in actual reality, right? I mean, so do you think in that case that they are just underestimating him a little bit?
I just think that they never have the patience for him. They don't ever want to just go through the growing pains. They talked like they did, but then they immediately signed Jimmy Garoppolo before they handed the keys to Trey Lance. So, like, it's all been talk with the 49ers. Every action that they have taken completely undercuts the message that they are trying to put out there with Trey. And I feel bad for the kid because everybody expects him to make this giant leap forward, right? He's got to make this leap. He's got to be way better. I don't know how the hell that's supposed to happen when he's been rehabbing all offseason and has 4 career starts. Like, how is he magically supposed to be better? He has to play to get better. You don't, when you drive a car, you don't magically sit in the driver's seat and suddenly become a good driver. You got to go through driver's ed. You got to have the teacher on the other side with the brake pedal, fixing all your mistakes, and then eventually you get it. But the Niners don't ever want to do that. They want him to be a Formula One driver right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, right? It's definitely unfair the situation that, Trey Lance is in. But, I still don't think personally that Darnold is going to overtake Trey Lance for the number 2 spot, but we'll just have to wait and see. But look, Darnold's 25, Purdy's 23, Lance is 22. I think we can all agree this is a young and cost controlled quarterback room. And I love that because it's what makes moves like the Hargrave signing possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is best case scenario for the 49ers. I think they've wanted to have this for quite some time, not have so much money strapped to the quarterback position and spend on other positions. Because as we've seen, the 49ers still feel like it doesn't matter too much who's at quarterback as long as we have the weapons around them on offense and defense. You're not a fan of that, clearly. But I mean, I just think that's how the 49ers feel. They like this quarterback room.
I agree with you, and I'm starting to wonder if that's the problem. I actually just
It
texted this to
absolutely is the problem, Rob.
I just texted this to Vish this morning. Quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. All of sports. You go back to all the 49ers big losses and their quarterback, they've had the lesser quarterback in all of them, and their quarterback has been the number one reason why they haven't come through. And I just think that Kyle's philosophy with the position is that he's always looking for good enough. He just wants a guy that's tall enough to ride the bumper cars. Just give me Kirk Cousins. He's good enough. I can win with him. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's good enough. I can, like, no, you can't settle for good enough at that position. You have to shoot for the moon. And if you end up with good enough, okay, but good enough shouldn't be the goal. And I just wonder if Kyle is so eager to jump on somebody that he thinks is good enough because his system is so good that he's missing the point. You got to have a stud there. And I just don't know if the 49ers have the right philosophy for the position in 2023.
You say quarterback is the most important position on the team. That is true. But I get the sense, Kyle Shanahan feels like he is the most important position on the team as the play caller, right? You got to shoot for the moon. He is the moon, in his mind. He just
Mm-hmm.
wants a quarterback who can execute the offense that he puts out because in his mind, this offense is perfect. It it has all the tools you need to be successful. Just do it. Like that's really all it is for him. And so whether that's true or not is, I think, is still up for debate because I only say that because the 49ers did go to the NFC Championship with Brock Purdy. Um, and who knows what would have happened after that if, Brock Purdy had not gotten hurt. So really, more so than anything, I think health has been in the way of the 49ers, more so than the quarterback itself, because they have had a ton of success, more than I think any other team would have with these quarterbacks, you know, in this situation.
That's fair, but at the same time, the NFC Championship game is not the goal. The goal is not to make a Super Bowl. The goal is a Super Bowl title. Tell me the last quarterback who was good enough that won a Super Bowl title. Nick Foles with the Eagles in 2018, maybe, but Nick Foles played great in that playoff run. He didn't play like a guy that was good enough. I mean, hell, Jalen Hurts had the Super Bowl of his life. Jalen Hurts was awesome in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
If they had won, he would be getting incredible praise and he would have deserved it. And they still didn't win, and they still had a great defense. That's why I just worry about the 49ers from the position of, do they value the quarterback as much as they should? Because the Eagles had just as good of a defense, arguably, as the 49ers, and a much better quarterback, and they still couldn't win because the other guy went God mode. And the Niners don't have a quarterback that can do that right now.
Okay, yes, it's a little unfair because Purdy got hurt, so we don't know what would have happened in that game. But I agree with you. I do think the 49ers have told us over and over again to this point that they don't value the quarterback position like other teams would. But at the same time, they have gone for other quarterbacks in the past, right? Maybe like Aaron Rodgers. They were interested in Aaron Rodgers at one point in time. But I think they like having cheaper options at quarterback. That's the sense that I get. So as of right now, again, young, cost controlled quarterback room. I'm not mad at it. You have three guys with starting experience. One of them gets hurt. The other one theoretically should be able to come in and, not miss a step, right? Hopefully we don't get into that situation again, but at least they're thinking about it.